head to the money desk. Devin Murugan joining us.
Yeah, so we are beginning to see results coming in from banks, Dev, and I'm wondering whether they reveal anything about economic recovery.
It's one of the reasons why we follow these banking results, not just because of the fraternity, but to give us an insight on how consumers are doing. Well, one of the country's biggest banks, FNB, releasing strong results today under the First Rand Group. FNB CEO Jacques Celliers joins me now for more. Let's put that to him. Jacques, thanks indeed for your time. So pre-tax profits at your bank run about 31% higher. You've had a few good showings, Jacques. I see more consumers are taking up your apps. Online transactions are on the rise. On the other end, are consumers really doing, better financially than they did a year ago, let's say in debt repayments?
Thanks, Devin, for the time. Yeah, it's been a very good outcome for us for the 6 months. If I take the list of viewers back sort of 2 years, as we started the 2020 year with COVID, it's a real big impact. We were expecting that it's going to take us at least 3 years to get back onto the 2019 results as a financial outcome. And we were able to do it in 2 years, not 3. So it's a big testimony to our client base that clearly got themselves properly reorganized and able to deal with COVID and impacts in their whole economy. And certainly even on top of that, things like the riots last year. So our clients are really in a much better position than we had anticipated, the pace at which they would be able to rehabilitate and reconfigure themselves. And that sets us up quite well for the new year. As we go into the new cycle, a bit of credit growth, it's a great place from which to grow.
Yeah, but when you look forward, Jacques, I mean, the enormous cost pressures that we hear about every day that lie ahead, we've got price rises that consumers face, from fuel to electricity, rising interest rates. Is that not a red flag?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same for all parts of the economy. I mean, clearly there's some sectors where it's really going well, like the agricultural sector or the mining sector, as you know. Some parts are have really recovered well and continue to grow, and then other sectors are a little bit slower. Some were unfortunately again impacted by another wave. International tourism, for example, it's a very sad December, which is when they got a bit of momentum going. They were again impacted. So it's not all the same, but certainly from the client sets that we are banking, we're really proud of that ability for them to have navigated. People have got plan B, plan C, plan D going, and that's very positive. Now, as an economy, clearly there is a little bit of still, we expected the interest rates to start increasing, but we are still not back at the 2019 levels, yet. So there's a good, very good landscape for us. There's a bit of a credit cycle turning up, and it's good because we have to be on the front foot as we want our economy to start growing again. It creates jobs. People tackle projects. It's a nice place from which to expect a bit of growth. And that has to be supported, obviously, with all of the big structural change that in the medium term will come as the government readjusts some of the stuff that we know has been promised. And we can see some green shoots of those things that are really starting to hopefully materialize. So there's a combination here. Great position. Our banks are healthy. Our value props are refreshed. Our clients are in a good place. There's a credit cycle upturn, and there's a longer term or medium term view that certainly the structural changes are going to support growth.
Which leads me to my next question. So the parent group First Rand saying today that it may be ready to start opening the lending taps a bit more, pointing to FNB, for example, and Westbank. For the past 2 years, you were quite strict on that lending criteria just to that low-risk client. So can we see those taps opening, Jacques?
Yeah, so when you talk about taps opening, we have a credit appetite that's really positioned to people that we know. We are a responsible lender.
Yep.
And so we focus on good and medium risk customers that we think can afford credit. It's easy to grow credit into markets that can't afford it. I mean, that's not a challenge really, and it's obviously irresponsible. So we have got a growth strategy for credit appetite into good risk customers. It comes at us, obviously, as interest rates increase, you obviously need to work with clients that actually have got a capacity to absorb those increases. And it looks to us as that our customers are spending it in the right places. We're not doing too much consumption credit. Many people are investing in real stuff, their businesses, their properties, and taking opportunity of the readjustments in industries as a consequence of the pandemic. all of us are working differently. We have got different opportunities, and it really is a landscape where there remains opportunity for us.
Just before I let you go, I mean, to what extent is government talking to you about this bounce-back lending scheme? I mean, we saw it announced by the Finance Minister last month, as well as the State of the Nation address. Remember that first loan scheme just to sort out those businesses that were affected by COVID? Didn't go down so well. What's the talks like on this new bounce-back scheme, Jacques?
Yeah, again, it's one of those things that there's lots of talk, lots of experts looking at it. We're all trying to add our, our contributions to make sure it's a success. You have to, from a credit growth perspective, you have to look at the overall story for credit. The early scheme that you referred to. Remember at the time when we had big adjustments to be done to our business clients. We didn't at the time have access to a scheme that the government brought to market. So we did, fortunately, they assisted us, the regulators assisted us with many of the levers we needed to be able to respond, leveraging our own resources to support our clients. So we restructured their balance sheets and we helped them with relief loans. And so by the time that the government program came in place, it almost like had done the work, right, with our own resources. And then we could then add it to it. So the whole picture of relief was incredibly big if you take the whole sector and you add a little bit of the sliver that the government scheme did. And that's going to be the same thing here. Our organizations across the whole industry, we are committed to supporting business and getting them through the cycle and extending credit. So there's always a competitive force and a demand that we have to satisfy ourselves. And then to the extent that that doesn't work and there's not enough, then obviously the next level of innovation that the government's trying to achieve through the scheme is going to come in place. So early days, lots of details still to come, but like everything, innovation helps. As long as there's resource, we can try our best, and everyone can try and do the most out of getting the economy growing in.
All right, we'll leave it there. Well, thanks very much indeed, Jacques Celliers, the FNB CEO, talking to us. That's where we leave it for now.